You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. And we begin today with just terribly disappointing news. No other way to say it. John Emery tore his ACL at practice on Wednesday, a non-contact drill. Got word of that this morning, and I know Wilson Alexander had it. Hunt had it over at LouisianaSports.net. Everybody's reporting it now. Brian Kelly was on the SEC Coaches Teleconference, which was 10 a.m. Central. At that point, the news hadn't broken yet, so no one asked Brian Kelly at that point. I'll tell you, it was probably around 10:30 this morning when I first got word of it. So it's just absolutely devastating, man. When John Emery made his decision after last season to enter the transfer portal and play another season of college football, I spoke about Emery's time at LSU. When ultimately John Emery decided to return to LSU, I spoke about John Emery again, and now I have to essentially say the exact same things about John Emery for the third time. And it's so disappointing, because if anyone deserved a storybook ending to their college career, it's this guy. I mean, guys like, when I think of storybook endings at LSU, I think of guys like Matt Flynn and Glenn Dorsey. Flynn was a guy who waited his turn, finally got his opportunity to start in year 5, boom, wins a natty. Glenn Dorsey could have gone pro, passed on millions of dollars after the 2006 season, came back for his senior year when everybody told him he should go pro and make money, came back to LSU, wins a national championship, and is still a top 10 pick. Boom. That's a storybook ending. John Emery deserved a storybook ending this year, and it just goes to show you sometimes life sucks. Sometimes it's just not fair. We've talked about his story so many times. John Emery was the number 1 running back in the country back in 2019. Out of Destrehan, came to LSU, contributed on the 2019 national championship team because he was so talented. In 2020, the COVID year, of course, he made it through that season, had a great game week 2 against Vanderbilt. Missed the entire 2021 season because of the academic issue. And remember, at that point, if John Emery wanted to turn pro, he could have at that point. And he would be going now into his 3rd NFL season. Instead, after missing the entire 2021 season, new coach coming in with Brian Kelly decided to return. Missed the first couple games of that season as he was working out academics, and came back to have a very solid year for LSU. Of course, maybe the marquee moment of John Emery's entire LSU career was the touchdown reception against Alabama in the overtime win. After that season, could have left, but decided to come back a year ago for a 5th season. Still fighting academic issues because he wanted to graduate and wanted to do it right. And I'll be darned, has a good season and boom, tears his ACL in November against Florida. But still persevered and walked across the stage, graduated. Y'all, school ain't easy for everybody. For some people, school is really damn hard. And school ain't meant for everybody. It's not to say people are smart or not smart. That's not the point. School is hard for some people. School was hard for me. I had to work really, really hard to make good grades because it didn't come natural to me. My brother's a brilliant guy. Rolled out of bed, made like a 27 on the ACT in the 7th grade. Just a brilliant guy. I'm not. I just play one on the radio. Anyway, Muse just rolled his eyes at me. I don't blame you. Anyway, in all seriousness, though, about John Emery, at any point he could have left. Could have left, persevered, wanted to graduate, and did. When John Emery graduated, and they posted the picture of Emery in his cap and gown at LSU, Frank Wilson quote tweeted that and shared on social. He said, this one just hit different because of everything that John Emery went through to get to that point. And maybe it's magnified even more because, look, there's been a lot of players. There's been a lot of players who have struggled in school and wound up walking across the stage and graduating. But maybe it hits differently in this one just because it's the portal era, man. It's the portal era where guys don't stay. It's not only portal, but it's also NIL. Guys don't stay, guys leave, guys look for better opportunities, they look for money, a lot of different things that pull you away. And y'all know I am the biggest proponent of NIL and portal, and guys should be able to, or girls, student athletes should be able to go seek the best opportunity like any other student would. I've told you my story before. I transferred after my freshman year of college. I made a better decision for me. And so at any point, John Emery could have left and didn't. And so I was pulling for him, like just on a human level, not just like the LSU alum in me that wants LSU to win all the time. Like on a human level, I'm pulling for John Emery. And so to see him go out there against USC and to be your best running back, I mean, to not only have meaningful carries, but to be the best guy was awesome. And I was really hoping that would manifest throughout this entire 12-game season for him and that he'd get to do great things. But unfortunately, torn ACL in a non-contact drill at practice. And Brian Kelly at the start of fall camp, I think this was the first day of fall camp, he was asked about how they were handling Josh Williams and how they were handling John Emery. And it was so interesting, the contrast, because Brian Kelly was pretty upfront. Like, they wanted to really stress John Emery to see what his body could do.
We wanted to put John in a position where the reps mattered, and mattered in the sense of he had to cut. He had to be stressed. He's cleared. So we wanted every rep that he got to be, maybe this is a bad analogy, but a high leverage rep. We didn't want him out there, just blocking or, taking a rep that didn't force him to put his foot in the ground and accelerate.
And he held up and was great against USC, and then it all came crashing down on Wednesday. A lot of people have asked about a seventh season. He could certainly appeal for a seventh season if he wanted to. I don't know that John Emery wants to do that after back-to-back torn ACLs. He'll have to make that decision. I just feel so badly for him. On a secondary level, we have to talk about the LSU running back position at this point, because now you're down to 3 scholarship backs. You're down to Josh Williams, Caleb Jackson, and then the true freshman Caden Durham. That's it. Remember a year ago you had 8. Remember, the question for Brian Kelly all throughout fall camp at the beginning of the year last year was, man, what do you do with 8 running backs? And Kelly's point consistently was, the cream usually rises and it figures itself out. And it did. It did last year. Logan Diggs ended up being your guy. Mostly. You had Josh Williams there as well. John Emery played a role. You guys had their role. But now you're down to 3. And you are paper thin at this point. There's still the possibility you could get Trey Holly back. Of course, Trey Holly, Louisiana High School's all-time leading rusher, still going through his legal situation. Back in July at media days, Brian Kelly thought they'd be at resolution. There was a continuance in that trial. And the next court date is set for mid-September, so in the middle of this month. Look, you shouldn't need to go too deep into your depth, I guess, over the next 4 weeks. But the gauntlet is coming in October and in November. And you would love to have Trey Holly back. I understand this conversation right now is about John Emery, and I feel terribly for him. But an adjacent part of this conversation certainly is how dangerously thin LSU is now at running back, and how desperately they need Trey Holly in that legal situation to get rectified so he can rejoin this football team. And I'm certainly hoping that's the case at some point this year, because, boy, you were a twisted knee, a turned ankle, a knock on the noggin away from relying on walk-ons now for reps. John Emery, season done after just 1 game, torn ACL. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.